All right, good evening, everyone. Today I wanted to talk to you about semicolons. This is a really awesome piece of punctuation that I think, with a little bit of background and familiarity, you can begin incorporating into your writing in very well placed and rare occasions. It's not something you want to use too frequently. You want to use it relatively sparingly. So let's take a look at the basic rules, see a couple examples, and be ready to try it out in class. Alright, so these rules are really straightforward, and if you know how to use a period, which every one of you do, you'll be able to use a semicolon very easily. So the first one is you can replace a period with a semicolon if you want to express a greater connection. So if you want to show that two sentences are linked, like this connection right there, if you want to show that they're linked, you can really use a semicolon to help assist that, and you'll be able to basically illustrate that they are connected in some way. Along that point of connection, there is a new term that we'll be looking at a little more, but they're called conjunctive adverbs. But I'm just going to let me see if I can, it's going to get a little long here, so let me see here. Before conjunctive adverbs. And it's in the same situation where you're going to have two independent clauses. So you're going to have this, and then a semicolon, and then this. And the conjunctive adverb goes right there, okay? And an example of this, really common one, would be however. Okay? These really just help illustrate the connection that I had mentioned earlier. So if you want to talk about, a connection, you can use this particular word to express what type. And we can look at the specifics of our different choices for conjunctive adverbs, but basically, instead of a comma for your fanboys, for and, nor, but, or, yet, so, you'll use a semicolon for your conjunctive adverbs. So another case is when there are many commas and you have a list, okay? So if you have a lot of commas in your list items, you'll want to use semicolons to separate those list items. So if we have list item, list item, list item, and there are commas within these list items, then you'll use semicolons to separate the items. It's very rare. I mean, if you're talking about cities and states, okay. If you're talking about, I don't know, like just different groups of things that you are naming in a list, you'll find that, but it's very rare. Trust me. The first two here that I highlighted, these two are the most common and the most significant for our purposes. And then the last one is kind of similar to the third reason, and it's basically that you can use a semicolon before a fanboy, like this. You can use it then. However, you'll only do that. You can also do it here if everything before it had a lot of commas. So if this part has, dependent clause, some sort of like adjectival or like adverbial phrase, and then the main content of your sentence, then you can use a semicolon to separate it. But those are the basic rules. So let's see some examples here. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to be only practicing these ones, to be quite honest, because 1 and 2 are when you'll be using them most frequently. So let's just see an example. Alright, so here's an example. I kind of drew on actual experience here. Earlier this evening, the sky dumped buckets of rain on my patchwork roof. Fortunately, I did not have to retrieve any buckets from the garage. Now, these sentences, particularly this one, if you were to look at the main bulk of my sentence, the two sentences involved in this are there. Now I could cross this out. I could get rid of fortunately and get rid of the semicolon and just have a period and have them just be earlier this evening the sky dumped buckets of rain on my patchwork roof, period. I did not have to retrieve any buckets from the garage. However, without the semicolon there, I don't believe that you had as much of an idea of what sort of thought or feeling I had about that particular. Boy, I'm just going crazy here. About how not retrieving buckets from my garage helped me feel, or what that meant. I was suggesting that I was glad about it, so I wanted to link the two sentences, and I used a semicolon to do it. So again, conjunctive adverb. Okay, typically because they answer questions of how, and then here we got our semicolon, which just basically replaces a comma. Okay, let's just look at one more example, and that'll conclude our video. Alright, so here's another one. Just again, thinking about what was going on today, and we watched the Oscars, and so this was just a sentence trying to explain that. I used a semicolon here. Now, I could have used a period. I could have not joined these two together, but the nice thing is that it leaves you the option to do it when you know the basic rules guiding semicolon use. The idea is that they separate two independent clauses from one another, and basically a sentence is an independent clause. So this one, for instance, this first sentence here has two independent clauses conjoined, and I separate them with that and create a complete sentence, followed then by another complete sentence right after it that I just want to show has a really strong connection to the next one, kind of reflecting back on the past and showing how this sentence's content contrasts it. I don't use an artificial conjunctive adverb though, so it helps you see that you can replace periods that would go here with something else if you feel that these sentences need to be a little bit more linked. So I'm looking forward for us to try these, and we'll see how much we incorporate these into our writing. Just a little bit, you don't want to overuse semicolons. We don't want to be John Locke or David Hume or any of these guys who just write and create page-long sentences. But we do want them to be an option, and it shows that we know how to use them. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.